Another decade and another chance to bring vampires to Broadway. This is going to end well. What is up, everybody, and welcome to another episode brought to you by Backyard Zombie. And if you have never been on my channel before, hi, I'm Josh. I am the host, creator of Backyard Zombie Productions, where we mostly focus on prop tutorials and short films and horror. But for some of you who don't know this, who have been long-time subscribers, or some of you who have just stumbled upon my channel because of this video, I am a huge fan of musical theater. I'm a huge fan of theater in general. I worked for a couple years in professional theater doing props as an actor, and I've done several musical theater shows. I just did a community theater production of Little Shop of Horrors back in October where I played Audrey II. I played Judas Iscariot in Jesus Christ Superstar. I played William Barfy in the 20th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee. I've done quite a bit of theater, and my resume is quite long. But I love Broadway and I love vampires. So on this channel, I have a couple of videos about vampire props. I made a burnt vampire skull, vampire killing kit. So when two of my favorite things merge together, I'm obviously on top of that. So vampires on Broadway, they have not done well. There was Dance the Vampire, there was Dracula the Musical, and then in 2006, my parents took me to one of my favorite shows of all time, Lestat the Musical. When I say I'm a big fan of this show, I'm a huge fan. This is my original playbill from 2006. It's still in mint condition. I love Lestat. And then just in arm's reach, I have my Lestat hat that I've had since I was a kid. It's been sun-bleached by the sun because of how much I used to wear this hat. I have one of these leather cuff bracelets that I got when I was also at the show, and this thing's been in a box for several years, but I just recently stumbled upon it and I was like, oh my god, it's from Lestat. And I have several programs, I have several posters, and just within arm's reach I actually had this poster, which is my original souvenir window card, and I'm hoping that the reflection of my lights isn't picking up too much on this, but this is my original window card souvenir poster that my parents got me for Christmas in 2006. They rolled it up and they hid it from me on the trip home. And yeah, so this means a lot to me. I've had this on my wall in every home and I love this thing. But yeah, so just talking on recent events, Lost Boys, The Lost Boys, the 80s film The Lost Boys is being adapted into a Broadway musical. I've had my eye on this for quite a bit of time, but just recently we've had some updates, so I thought I would come on here, talk about my thoughts about The Lost Boys musical, my concerns, and then also I'm actually really hyped for it because the sound is phenomenal. So let's dive deep into that. So just recently, via the Lost Boys Broadway social medias, I follow them on Instagram, they have announced that the show will open on Broadway at the Palace Theater in New York City in spring of 2026. So what really caught my eye about this announcement is that the Palace Theater has hosted another vampire, and we just went over him, and here's the proof: playbill, the Palace Theater, Lestat. So Lestat ran in the Palace Theater for 33 previews and 39 performances because it was, to the critics, it was bad. Now, I could easily do a video on the deep dive of Lestat the Musical where I think the Broadway version went wrong because the San Francisco version had rave reviews. It was very positively received, and it was written by Elton John and Bernie Taupin, of all people, and they are lyrical and musical geniuses. But the Broadway version just kind of fell flat to a lot of critics, and it didn't do well. So this will be, off the top of my head, I might be wrong about this, but the fourth musical centered around vampires. And I might be wrong here, but I'm just trying to go through my mind of all the musicals I know that involve vampires. And that's going to be interesting. But the thing that is, I'm giving a lot of hope to this show because the sound is so good. They have released little snippets of songs from the show. If you follow them on Instagram, actually I'm going to link their Instagram page down below, you can listen to little snippets of the songs, and I don't know, it's very folky, it's very punk, it's very vibe, like the vibe is good. I know I'm using a lot of Gen Z, like, paraphrasing, but yeah, the sound I really like. I think I can see myself really enjoying this show. It's not the vibe that I thought they were going to go with for The Lost Boys, especially being a beloved 80s movie that had a killer soundtrack. This is going to be quite an experiment to see who shows up for this show. Now, horror movies in Broadway have done very well. There are several horror musicals that have lasted the test of time. Evil Dead the Musical is the first one that comes to mind. I'm a big Evil Dead fan, as a lot of people know. Evil Dead the Musical still is like touring with professional productions. They just reopened in Toronto. Carrie the Musical, Toxic Avenger, Silence, which is a big parody musical of Silence of the Lambs. So this will join those ranks of horror movie musicals. I'm very excited. I'm very excited to see how they're going to do certain aspects of the show, whether or not they're going to use some type of way to show that the characters are vampires. Now, in Lestat, they didn't use any fangs, they didn't use any like prosthetics, because it was just more simple that way. So anytime that an actor had bit somebody, they did some really cool like special effects, and you understood what was going on. You understood that person was a vampire. But I'm very excited to see how costumes play into this new version of The Lost Boys. It's going to be very, I think, experimental. It's going to be very, very cool. There's not a lot of information out on the show, except, fun fact, it is produced by Patrick Wilson, the actor Patrick Wilson. A lot of people know him from The Conjuring, the Insidious movies. I know him. I was a big fan of him from Phantom of the Opera. We played the Vicomte de Chagny, Raoul. And I saw that on Instagram that he's producing the show, and I was like, holy crap, that's really cool. He must have a lot of faith in this show. I really like it. The director, his name is slipping me, and I'm going to lose my theater kid card. He played Quasimodo in The Hunchback of Notre Dame, and I think that's also really super cool that he's part of this show, because I know he's had his hand in a lot of cool shows on Broadway. I think he had something to do with the Deaf Spring Awakening, the Deaf Hunchback of Notre Dame. I might be wrong on that, but I'm thinking about the right guy. I'm going to put his face here. So I think that's going to be really cool. I cannot wait to see updates on The Lost Boys. I cannot wait to see more music videos from the composers, the Rescues. I want to hear more. I want to see more. I really want to start seeing visuals, like concept art, behind the scenes. That's what I'm really excited for about The Lost Boys musical. And I know I'm ranting right now, but if you have listened to me rant, just know that I'm excited. I'm really excited for The Lost Boys musical. I'm really excited for vampires to return to Broadway at the Palace Theater, maybe second time's the charm, who knows. And I'm really hoping that the show is great and it gets the recognition it deserves. So, if you have enjoyed this video and you're hoping that I'll put more content up about the Lost Boys musical, please think about subscribing, please think about liking, and comment down below if you want me just to go on a huge rant about Lestat the musical, because I have tons of collectibles, I have tons of opinions about Lestat the musical. So if you're interested in that, say, hey, make a Lestat the musical video, Josh, and I will, here on Backyard Zombie Productions. So I hope you liked this video. I hope you liked me just ranting about Broadway and the Lost Boys, and I hope you feel how excited I am about this musical. And yeah, maybe think about sticking around and subscribe, and we will see you in the next video, brought to you by Backyard Zombie.